And in other news tonight, over the course of the last week, surprise Democratic candidate Alvin Greene of South Carolina has been called a lot of things, including unqualified and even a Republican plant. Nonetheless, Democrats in that state have officially reaffirmed his nomination, which means he will in fact appear on the ballot this November, going head-to-head with Republican Senator Jim DeMint. And not surprisingly, many on the left are feeling uneasy about the unemployed Army vet's chances, considering as a potential criminal charge pending against him. But despite all of this, my next guest says Greene is probably the most qualified Democratic candidate she's ever seen. She is the author of many New York Times bestsellers, including the latest book, which is Guilty, available in paperback, the one and only Coulter. All right, I read the column. You're being sarcastic.
No.
No, me and sarcastic.
I didn't say the most qualified candidate. I said
Democrat.
The most qualified Democrat.
Yeah.
I mean, he's smarter than Barbara Boxer. He's only been accused of a felony as opposed to convicted, like Alcee Hastings. He hasn't lied about his military record, like Dick Blumenthal running in Connecticut.
Yeah.
He's the most qualified Democrat I've seen, and I do think it's very important that this moment not be lost to history, that we have David Axelrod, plus the third-ranking Democrat in the House, Jim Clyburn.
No, Jim Clyburn.
Okay, Jim Clyburn.
Right.
You have the entire primetime lineup of MSNBC accusing the Republicans of committing a dirty trick, but no one stopped to say, what was the trick? What did they do again? All he did was get more votes.
That's all he did. And what we
have here is the opposite of a scandal. If the guy had gotten no votes but had lots of fancy campaign ads, then you might say, oh, you know, maybe that guy was a Republican plant. No, he had no campaign, but he got more votes. How did Republicans do that?
Well, it is hilarious. I'm not gonna dispute it with you. It's great. You know, the funny thing is he's got these charges. I mean, they're serious charges about allegations that he sent pictures to a college girl and wanted to meet up with her, and then on the other hand, he got an honorable discharge, but he was forced to leave the armed services.
Well, he did show a college co-ed some internet pornography, but I mean, that was part of the campaign. It's called pressing the flesh.
Oh, jeez. Did you hear him he was on Mark Levin's radio show, and he barely knew who he was running against. It was pretty bad. It was bad. You missed that.
Look, nobody's going to beat Jim DeMint.
No, that's
and moreover, I mean, the one thing that is questionable, but I don't know why Republicans would do it, is it does seem suspicious that it's a $10,000 filing fee, and it doesn't look like this guy could buy a sandwich. So someone may have paid his filing fee.
He says no.
Well, okay, but it could have been Acorn. It could have been some of that great stimulus money we're getting from the president. Even if a Republican did it, this is not half as bad as what the entire liberal apparatus, Hollywood, did to the very serious Republican nominee running against Patrick Leahy back in 1998, which everyone has forgotten about. And that was outrageous. They ran the feeble-minded dairy farmer.
Let me pick your legal...
Fred Tuttle. Fred.
Let me pick your legal mind for a second here, because we got this controversy, obviously, with BP.
Oh, yeah.
Well, okay, but on the legal side of this, there is a law in place, and the law says that they are responsible financially for all the cleanup plus $75 million.
Right.
All right, so we have Congressman Barton says, well, wait a minute, this is a shakedown. He apologized to BP, didn't like the way they would have been treated from the beginning, and then he's forced to rescind his apology. And, you know, I thought about it. I didn't like the way they treated BP. Look, it's almost as though there's this conspiracy among Democrats that BP wanted this to happen. And I don't believe that.
I think it's very important in the middle of the most damaging environmental disaster in history that we have lots of congressmen grandstanding.
Grandstanding and lawyers.
Wow, I loved that. There's nothing more important. What does the country need more now than you know, you show me a video of one of these Democrats standing up and denouncing BP's safety procedures 6 months ago, then I'll be impressed. But they've waited for the disaster to happen. Now they're just wasting everyone's time with this. I really don't need to hear from Henry Waxman. And as for Barton and what should be done about BP's legal liability, Richard Epstein, the great libertarian law professor at University of Chicago, wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal, I don't know, today or yesterday, it's linked at iancoulter.com, in which he points out, if only you had private insurers insuring these oil rigs in the first place, they would have made sure they had proper safety procedures, and they would not have had a $75 billion limit. Only the government would be that stupid.
But every step of the way, from the approval process...
It's the government.
Well, it's Federal Waters. They lease it to BP, and every step of the way, they've got to sign off on everything. It's as if they have no culpability here.
Right.
And similarly, there was an incestuous relationship with regulators in the oil industry.
Right.
They were getting gifts. They missed inspections. They gave this rig a safety award.
Right.
And they're acting as though they had no responsibility.
No.
When are we going to put them under oath and ask them about their culpability?
Right. And by the way, I don't want to even do that in the grandstanding way the Democrats just did to BP. I just want people to understand we don't want the federal government running, education, health care, our pensions, and we certainly don't want them running our insurance for oil rigs or for nuclear power plants.
You know what I want them to do? I want them to plug the damn hole and clean up the mess. Is that too much to ask?
And by the way, you've been magnificent on the Jones Act. The only point I want to add to what you have been saying, and I've been watching you religiously, and you've been great. This is the reason Obama wouldn't waive the Jones Act and let foreign ships in is because it's a protectionist law. This was another Democrat sucking up to the unions.
By the way, you were at Russia's wedding. I saw you there. How great was that? Wasn't it great? Wasn't it? It was pretty amazing.
I expected it to be magnificent. It was beyond what I expected.
All right, Ann Coulter, the one and only. Appreciate you being here. We have lots.